This is a steel watch. No touchscreen, no wireless fidelity, no battery. Yet a Rolex has sold for over $17 million, more than a Bugatti, more than the down payment for a private jet. Rolex is not the most complex watch brand in the world. It does not build the thinnest movements or the most artistic dials, nor does it pursue groundbreaking designs or futuristic technology. But it is the most recognizable luxury watch on Earth. You do not need to know anything about watches to recognize a Rolex. You have seen it on the wrists of Wall Street people, in Hollywood movies, on the wrists of champion athletes, and on the wrists of world leaders. From boardrooms to red carpets, from presidents to pop stars, Rolex quietly displays success without explanation. That is what makes it so powerful. Most luxury products rely on storytelling to convey a sense of high price. Rolex does not need to explain itself. Its reputation is built in its very name. So the real question is, how did a purely mechanical object, an invention from over a century ago, become one of the most valuable, coveted, and culturally influential symbols of success in the modern world? To understand that, we need to look beyond the watch and delve into the system behind it. In the retail market, Rolex prices seem quite reasonable. A basic Rolex costs around $6,000 to $9,000. Steel sports models like the Submariner or GMT Master 2 retail for $10,000 to $15,000. But that is just the list price. In reality, similar watches often sell for double or even triple that amount. Some Rolex models have yielded returns comparable to, or even exceeding, stocks, gold, and even real estate over the past decade. That is where the confusion begins. Other luxury brands use more gold, more diamonds, and more obvious extravagance, but they are often cheaper and more readily available. Rolex, on the other hand, is often not readily available, even if you have the money. Then there is the auction market. A Rolex Daytona once owned by Paul Newman sold for $17.7 million. Another Daytona, dubbed the Unicorn, fetched $5.9 million. A Rolex owned by the last emperor of Vietnam sold for over $5 million. Even a pre-owned GMT by Marlon Brando sold for nearly $2 million. So the real question is, if Rolex does not use the rarest materials and does not build the most complex watches, why does the market regard it as financial gold? To understand that, we need to go back more than 100 years. In 1905, a young businessman named Hans Wilsdorf had an idea that sounded almost absurd at the time. He believed that wristwatches could be as accurate as marine chronometers, the precise instruments used to navigate ships on the ocean. That idea went against all common belief. At the time, wristwatches were considered unreliable, prone to malfunction, and often dismissed as mere fashion accessories. Accurate timekeeping belonged to pocket watches. Wristwatches were even considered feminine. Wilsdorf did not try to make watches more decorative. He did not chase trends. Instead, he pursued standards. His company, later named Rolex, obsessively focused on three things: waterproof cases, automatic movements, and everyday reliability. Not luxury for special occasions, but accuracy for real life. That mindset created milestones that reshaped the industry: the Ooster case, the automatic movement, the date display, and specialized tool watches for divers, pilots, and explorers. Rolex did not ask people what they wanted to wear. The company decided for itself what constituted a serious watch and built the entire industry around that definition. Rolex always prioritizes three criteria: production, control, and human limits. The biggest misconception about Rolex is that it is mass-produced. That is not the case. Rolex is more accurately described as a tightly controlled manufacturing industry, a system where machines exist to support human skill, not replace it. And that difference changes everything about the cost. With robust, unpretentious materials, Rolex does not rely on visual extravagance. Instead, it chooses materials that are difficult to work with. Their steel, known as Ooster Steel 904L, is significantly more difficult to work with than the 316L steel used by most luxury watch brands. It is more corrosion-resistant, retains its shine longer, and is very difficult to machine during production. Cutting it damages tools more quickly. Finishing it takes longer. The defect rate is higher. That difficulty is intentional, as the same philosophy applies to Rolex Gold. The company operates its own foundries, producing proprietary gold alloys, including Everose Gold, to control color stability and long-term durability. This level of material control is rare, expensive, and inefficient by modern standards. But Rolex does not optimize efficiency. They optimize consistency. Rolex does not outsource critical components. From cases, movements, dials, bracelets, almost everything is manufactured in-house. This means no common suppliers, no ready-made solutions, and no cost dilution across multiple brands. This gives Rolex absolute control over quality, but also absolute responsibility for costs. Every error, every rejected component, every process refinement is recorded on Rolex balance sheet. That is why Rolex cannot simply scale up production to meet demand. The system is not designed to work faster. It is designed to work properly. But human time is the real bottleneck. This is why Rolex is so expensive in a way that money cannot solve. At Rolex, the most crucial stages of production are still done by hand. Each movement comprises approximately 200 to 400 individual parts. While ultra-precise computer numerical control machines cut gears and metal plates with incredibly fine tolerances, the reassembly is entirely done by hand. Technicians use tweezers to meticulously place each gear, spring, and lever, working under microscopes, where even a small vibration can cause problems. The most delicate step is adjustment. An experienced watchmaker observes the oscillation of the balance spring and adjusts it by hand to achieve Rolex Super Chronometer standard. With an accuracy of ±2 seconds per day, a tolerance twice as strict as the Swiss industry standard, machines can measure faster, but only humans can detect the subtle anomalies and correct them without creating new ones. The craftsmanship is not limited to the movement. Diamond setting is done by skilled gem setters, who place and secure each stone individually. The dial is hand-finished, with gold hour markers hand-set and luminescent material carefully applied for perfect balance. Finally, each watch undergoes rigorous human inspection. If any fault is detected, however small, the watch is discarded and reworked. Machines create precision. But it is the human hand that makes a Rolex. Because of its exorbitant price, it is often worn by those who hold prominent positions, experience pressure, and possess enduring power. In sports, you see it on the wrists of legends. Roger Federer wore a Rolex in the stands at Wimbledon and the US Open. Tiger Woods is associated with the Sea Dweller and Deep Sea lines. Cristiano Ronaldo owns some of the most expensive jewel-encrusted Rolexes ever produced. In Hollywood, Rolex appears without explanation. Paul Newman transformed the Daytona into a cultural icon. Marlon Brando wore a vintage GMT Master on screen in Apocalypse Now. Leonardo DiCaprio wore a gold Daytona in The Wolf of Wall Street to project luxury and power. In business and politics, Rolex is more understated, but equally present. Chief executive officers, hedge fund managers, and long-established wealthy families often choose Datejust or day-date models, watches that represent success without logos or ostentation. The day-date watch has even been dubbed the presidential watch, due to its long-standing association with heads of state and world leaders. Rolex also dominates the physical space. It appears at Wimbledon, the Oscars, Formula One races, major golf tournaments like the Masters, and in boardrooms from New York to Geneva. Few brands are instantly recognizable in all those environments. That is why Rolex is irreplaceable. No other watch brand combines history, reliability, resale value, and global recognition on this scale. It fits in with a tailored suit, a t-shirt, or a diving suit, and it conveys the same message everywhere. Rolex is more than just a watch. It tells the world exactly where you are. Despite its widespread presence and reputation, Rolex is not immune to controversy. It does not stem from quality. It stems from accessibility issues. Critics often point to what they call artificial scarcity. Authorized dealers are frequently out of stock, while waiting lists stretch from months to years. At the same time, brand new Rolex watches immediately appear on the gray market, where they are often sold for double or triple the retail price. This has led to accusations of favoritism, insider selling, and a system that rewards relationships rather than customers. There is also negative cultural backlash, such as, it is just a steel watch. The price is unreasonable. Rolex is turning watches into speculative assets. Beyond consumer disappointment, Rolex has also been embroiled in political scandals, where luxury watches have become symbols of corruption, extravagance, and inequality. Even so, it is clear that Rolex has always been a symbol of luxury and high prices. I realize that Rolex does not just sell watches. It sells time, discipline, and self-restraint. Do not buy a Rolex to impress others, and do not buy it with the expectation of guaranteed profit. Only buy it if you understand the high cost of the craftsmanship involved in making it. Thank you for watching this far. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Why is it so expensive? If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on what topic you would like me to cover in the next video. See you next time.